Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Colden Company's webinar, Introduction to Microsoft To Do. So let's go ahead and pull back the curtain here and get started. Before we begin, please note that all attendees are in listen-only mode. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to use the Q&A function in WebEx, and we'll get to questions at the end of the presentation. So let's tell you a little bit about us. Colden Company is an information technology service organization, so we're computer guys and gals. Coming up on 20 years in business here, founded in 2003. We have 3 locations. I'm talking to you from St. Augustine, Florida. We have an office in Ballston Spa, New York, and also out in Jonesville, Michigan. Our customer footprint extends out into 17 states, as well as outside the US. And we have many leading technical certifications. We are a Microsoft partner, and that is pertinent here today because Microsoft To Do is part of the 365 SKU from Microsoft. And this is part of our ongoing series of webinars about getting the value out of your Microsoft 365 subscription. So in past, we've done webinars on SharePoint and Teams and Microsoft Lists, Power Automate, a lot of the different lesser known tools that come with your subscription that businesses often do not take advantage of. So what we're trying to do is educate folks, make sure they're getting the full value out of their subscription that they're paying for anyway. And our last bullet point here, we were multiple year winners of the MSP 501 award. Very proud of that, and again awarded that in the most recent award last year. So getting to our agenda here today, we're just going to talk about what is Microsoft To Do and what are the uses for To Do, and of course we'll take some questions at the end, as we always do. All right, so according to Microsoft, To Do is a task list or a daily planner. It's really a place to record tasks that are needing to be done, but it's also a place to manage tasks. So whether you are assigning out a task or a task is assigned to you, you can manage those things all from within To Do. Now, what is important here is you cannot assign out tasks to people outside of your organization from To Do. So that is something you can do with some other tools like Planner, but you cannot do that with Microsoft To Do. But you can assign tasks out to people within your organization. Okay. So it's good for, of course, tracking issues. It's good for individual tasks. We're going to talk a little bit about Microsoft Planner, which is really meant for maybe group tasks or group projects. Planner might be a better fit. So we'll talk about that. But for individual tasks, Microsoft To Do is really the place to go. Important to note as well that you can only assign a single person to a task in To Do, whereas with other things like Planner, you can assign multiple people. Okay, so how do you get access to Microsoft To Do? There's multiple ways. Number one is go to office.com, just like you would for any of the other Microsoft apps, and you'll find it in the list of applications at office.com. There is also a desktop app that can be downloaded, and I've got the URL here. And that's what we're going to show you today. So we're actually going to break from PowerPoint in a little bit and show the actual desktop To Do application. That's what I use on a daily basis. You can also get to it from Outlook. You can see here I've just taken a quick screenshot of a corner of my Outlook screen, and you can see I've highlighted the To Do button there. You click on that and it's going to show you all of your To Do tasks. What I do is I download the app and pin it to my taskbar, so it's right there available for me, and just click on it right from my taskbar, and I've got it very accessible to me every day. Now you'll notice that above where I've got the highlighted to-do link in Outlook, right above it, there's also a checkbox. That's tasks. So I guess that's one of my kind of gripes with Microsoft here is there's some functionality within tasks that you don't have within To-Do, even though To-Do on the whole is a much more robust application. So for an example, you can drag an email to the tasks button right above that highlighted checkbox, and then you have options to assign it and actually see it in To-Do, but you can't drag it to the To-Do icon. Maybe something Microsoft should be fixing there, but that's the way the workflow is right now. You would have to drag an email to tasks in order to assign it out. Okay, so this is what the desktop application looks like. And if you look over here, we'll start on the upper left. You've got My Day. So these are things that you want to get done that particular day. You just add a task to your day and it's going to populate there. So that's very handy for making sure you get done what you really intend to get done for that particular day. Second one down are important tasks. So you can see on the right, I've got tuning our radiation sensors with a blue star there. Just a matter of clicking on that star and that moves it to the important tab. Planned, those are tasks that have a date assigned to it. So by adding a date, it'll automatically populate there. Things that are assigned to me. Now this is great. This is where if you have tasks that are assigned to you from other Microsoft applications, like Planner as an example, they're going to show up in your to-do list as well. So that's that integration of 365 where these applications all work together. Assigning or tasks assigned to you in Planner are going to pop up here in To-Do as well. Flagged emails. Most people will have flagged emails as a favorite in Outlook, but you can also get to it from To-Do. So that's very handy to see that all in one spot. And then we've got tasks. These are your personal tasks. One, I guess, oddity with Microsoft To-Do is you cannot assign tasks out from this default list. So this tasks list that you see here, which is kind of for your personal tasks, can't assign them out. In order to do that, you have to create another list, a different list. That's very easily done. You can see at the very bottom, there's a plus sign there that says new list. Just create a new list. You can see I've got a couple here, a demo list and a advisory council list. Adding that new list, then you can assign things out. So we'll go ahead and show that as well. So that's just a little bit of an oddity with To-Do. A lot of folks stumble on that. They have their default task list. Hey, I can't assign it out. That's right. You have to create a different list to do that. Okay. So besides To-Do, there are other places where you can store tasks. Microsoft Lists as an example, Microsoft Planner. So the question becomes, which application is the correct one? Now, we did a whole webinar not too long ago about where to store data. Do we store it in SharePoint? Do we store it in Teams? Do we store it in OneDrive? What are the benefits and differences of each of those? This is kind of a similar question, right? Which application is the correct place if you want to do tasks? So as we mentioned earlier, if you assign tasks in Planner, it will show up on your to-do list, so that's important to note before you make a decision. Planner allows tasks to be assigned to multiple people, whereas To-Do only allows you to assign them to one person. So for group projects and things like that that are more team-oriented, To-Do might not be the best solution. Planner might be better for that. If you're familiar with Microsoft Lists, it's good for tracking around a specific need or a specific project. You might have a list associated with a particular project, whereas To-Do is really more for any task. It's more generalized. You can have things that don't necessarily relate to each other, just things that you got to get done. To do is perfect for that, or lists is really should be centered around what the purpose of that particular list is. Okay, so what we're going to do now is take a break from PowerPoint, and I'm actually going to bring up my to-do app. So I'm going to break out here, and I'm going to pull up Microsoft To Do. Okay, so starting from the very top here, show my day. I don't have anything in here at the moment, but I could. For example, if I were to click on this one here, add to my day, it's just as simple as clicking on that. And then it adds that task to things that you want to get done for that particular day. So again, it's just a nice central spot to have all the tasks that you want to get done today. Moving down to important tasks, those are things that you have selected by clicking on the star here. So you can see when I hover over that, that's going to remove the importance of this task if I click on it. And you can see it goes away. And then when I click on it, it comes back. So if I click there, tune the radiation sensors, that's the one that I've got selected here. So pretty simple there. Planned activities, these are going to be all things from all of your lists that have a due date. So I've got a bunch of things here, due today or due later. Anything that has a due date on it will show up in planned. Assigned to me are going to be different tasks that may have been assigned to me by someone else's project. Again, keeping them all in one spot. Flagged emails, of course, we know what that is. And then we've got my my personal task list, and then I've got this demo task list, which I've created for the purpose of today here. Okay, so a couple of things here. We're going to go through adding a task. So very simply done at the very bottom here, we can just start typing here. And maybe the task we have here, we need to change the oil in our DeLorean. We haven't done that yet. So if I click on it, I get all my options. So I can add a reminder if this, maybe I don't need to do this today. I can have a due date of maybe next week. Let's do that. We can pick a date here and say that's due March 31st. But I want a reminder ahead of time. So I'm going to say, yeah, it's due March 31st, but remind me on the 29th, whatever time, that I've got to get that done by Friday. So you can set reminders, you can set due dates. If this is a task we want to repeat, we can click here. And if I want to assign this task out, these are the people. You can see I've got 3 people in this particular list that are added to it. I want to assign this, I'm going to just assign it to myself. Now, if I were to assign this to someone else in the group, they would get an email notification, hey, you've been assigned this task, and give them the details of the task. Okay. So maybe I want to add some different steps here. I can do that as well. Just by clicking in here. Let's see, we want to rinse first, and we want to remind them, touch the red button in the DeLorean, and then maybe wash and wax. So we can set up those subtasks inside of this one step, should we choose to. We can also add, let's add that back, there we go. We can add notes in here. Maybe we should have put that note about don't touch the red button in there. Okay, I'll go ahead and delete that step. And I'll add the note down here. And now we've got a note in there. You can add files. So you can see here, I've got a file attached to purchasing more flux capacitors. So we're going to switch over there. and we've got an attachment here. So I can go ahead and click on this. It's opening up in my other screen, so I'll slide it over here. It's showing me the past order that we had, how many we ordered, what the model number was, who authorized it, those types of things. So you can add those important attachments inside of your tasks as well. And again, this being part of the Microsoft 365 suite, it knows how to open this document with the proper application. Okay. One other shortcut here, if I want to add a task, let's say I could do sample task. Right down here, I can say at me, and it automatically assigns it right from this bar down here. So if you don't want to go through the extra step of clicking on it and assigning it, you can do it all in one step here. Okay, so fairly straightforward there. I do want to make note, you can see I've got kind of a fancy background here up in the settings. You can come in here and you can choose your different settings. You can see which one I've got chosen here. If you just want to have a standard, blue background, you can do that, whatever it is you prefer. So just some fancy things there. You can decide how you want them sorted. So you can sort by important on top or by due date, however you like. Also notice that new tasks come up on top. If I don't want that, let's say I just created the sample task, I can just simply drag it and it moves it to the bottom. So you've got that flexibility to drag and drop from inside of To Do. I've got another one here, another personal list here. So you can have different lists. Sometimes you might want to have a list for work-related stuff. You may want to have a list for a particular project that you can assign people to, and you may want to have as I said, a personal list. So you can see for me, I need to have a reminder every day to make my bed. I got to feed the pets, and I also have to rebuild the neighbor's fence, which it really could have been anybody's hippopotamus that broke their fence. I don't know how they could tell it was mine. But as I mentioned, I can move these things around, add tasks, assign to people if I want. Okay, so let's go back to our PowerPoint here and finish up. So as a summary, Microsoft To Do can be a handy tool for keeping yourself organized. Don't lose track of the things that you need to get done. With To Do, it's almost impossible to lose track. Get it in your list and look at your list. Very simple. There's multiple ways to access and utilize To Do, so find the way that works best for you. Ultimately, with any tool, really, it has to work within your personal workflow. That's kind of the beauty of To Do, is there's a lot of different ways to access it. If you're used to working in the web browser, you can get to it from office.com. If you like using Outlook, you can get to it from there. If you're a desktop app kind of guy like myself, you can have that. And like I said, I pin it right to my taskbar, so it's sitting right there every day and easily accessible. Okay, we like to end all of our webinars with this saying: if you're running your business the same way you were 2 or 3 years ago, you're not staying the same, you're falling behind. And that's because your competition is taking advantage of new technology and moving things forward. So if you're staying the same, you're losing ground to them. And with that, we'll open it up to some questions here. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to put my contact information up on the screen here. And let's see, the first question is, what is the difference between tasks and To Do? So really, To Do is a more fully featured application to manage tasks. So tasks are, things that you need to get done. There is a task button in Outlook, but really To Do is the app centered around managing tasks from different applications. So you can manage tasks from Planner, you can manage tasks from To Do, get them all in one spot. So it's the front end interface that manages tasks is what To Do really is. Question number 2, why can't you share tasks from the default list? Well, I have that same question, really. I can't answer that. That's really going to be a question for Microsoft. I just can tell you that it doesn't work, and you have to create a new list to be able to share out from it. Head scratcher for me as well. I'm sure there's some underlying reason why that is. But that's just, I know it's a terrible answer, but it's just the way the app works, and unfortunately that's the way it is. Okay, those are our only questions. So with that, I would just like to reiterate, if you have any questions about how To-Do can be of value to your organization, please feel free to reach out. My phone number is there on the screen. My email address is on the screen as well. We're always happy to help to make sure that your business is getting its value out of your Microsoft subscription. Thanks for attending today.